mortgage calculator. We'll wait just a minute here to get started, but today we're going to be talking about everyone is a client. So we'll wait a moment to go live on all the different platforms and give everybody a chance to tune in here. Thank you for those tuning in early and dropping comments there. I'll put the chat up on the screen here now as well. So feel free to drop a comment as you tune in. Thank you for those that were already commenting. Definitely appreciate it. Remember, we do these at 12 p.m. Eastern time every weekday where we go through the front end and sales side of being a loan officer. So make sure to tune in every weekday at noon Eastern time for this presentation. So with that being said, it looks like we are live on all the different platforms, so we can go ahead and get started, but feel free to keep dropping comments there in the chat as we go. And also drop any questions you have in the chat as well. I'd be happy to answer them. So welcome everyone. My name is Kyle Hershey. I'm the COO of the Mortgage Calculator. And today we are doing our loan officer sales training. And the topic for today is everyone is a client. So when I say everyone is a client, what I mean is that everyone has to live somewhere, right? So every human being, well, in our case, we only lend in America. Every human being in the United States is going to need a place to live at some time. So we need to always be taking advantage of that, understanding that, keeping that in mind, because everyone in this business, everyone is really a client. That's one of the great things about the mortgage industry, about the housing industry in general. It's not like selling some kind of product that only works for certain people. This is a need that everyone has to have shelter, to have a home. And as we go through my first slide here, everyone is a renter or an owner, right? That's what we mean by everyone is a client. But guess what? Renters turn into owners. Everyone who's ever owned a home used to be a renter, or maybe they lived with their parents until they bought the home, whatever the case may be, but they didn't just straight own a home immediately, right? So the big thing with us as loan officers, we need to remember is that just because somebody's not ready to buy a house right now doesn't mean that they're not a client, right? Everyone is a client. That's why it's very important when we're talking to leads, when we're out and about talking to people, we always keep that in mind, that we're not here looking for the short-term get rich quick. If you're in the mortgage business to try to get rich quick, especially in these times, you're in the wrong business. We are here to build up a successful, sustainable business over time, and it's not going to happen overnight, and it's not going to happen if we just weed people out. Remember, at the Mortgage Calculator, we preach about the flywheel as opposed to the funnel. We don't use the funnel, methods here of throwing people away and funneling people down to the people who are just ready. That's not the correct way to do business. The correct way to do business is to use the flywheel that's always spinning, where we're constantly talking to people who may not be ready right then, but we're always following up with them. And here's the great thing about the flywheel is that non-customers can refer customers. Now, when I talk about the flywheel, I do have a training on that. If you go to our YouTube, we have a whole training on the flywheel, what that means, how that works. But essentially, it's the opposite of a funnel. We're not throwing people away just because they're not a homeowner or they don't have a down payment to buy a home right now just because they're not ready. Because remember, even if they're a renter right now, they can be, not everybody will be, but they can be an owner. Well, guess what? The ones that can be, part of your job is to tell them how they can be, right? And so you need to talk to renters in order to create owners. So a great example of this is we just got a lead that called in today to our main office, and I just actually assigned it. out and referred it out as a lead. This person was calling about rent to own properties. They want to rent to own. So why did I refer out a person who called and said they're looking to rent? Why did I refer that out as a lead to our loan officers that can only do loans? They can't do rentals. We have nothing to do with rental properties, besides financing them for the owner. But we have nothing to do with rentals. So why would I take a lead that called us and said, hey, I'm looking to rent to own? Why would I give that to one of our loan officers? Because that's a perfect client. A lot of people think a perfect client is somebody calling up and saying, I have a 760 credit score and I'm ready to be pre-approved for a home right now, and I have a down payment ready and all that. Yeah, that would be great. But if that could happen every day, then we would all be rich, right? That's not how it works. But how it does work is you can build up a pipeline of people that currently rent and consult them on what they need to become an owner, to be able to do a loan with you. Now, what's better than a person who's currently renting but wants to own something? So they're looking for a rent to own situation. They just told you right there, I'm currently a renter, but I have aspirations of being an owner as soon as I can. Because a rent to own situation, that means they're trying to initiate this right now, right? So that is a perfect client to talk to and say, hey, I know you're looking to rent to own. That's pretty few and far between and not really something that is attainable for the most part for most people. But what we can do is get you set up so that by the time your lease is finished at wherever you are going, you can be ready to purchase a home. I'll walk you through the process, talk about some of the programs, talk about what kind of down payments and closing costs you would be looking at. I could even help you simulate your credit and get it to the point where it needs to be. That way, when you're ready to purchase, you know exactly what to do. And I am the one who's going to help you. Why would they call anyone else or go to anyone else when you told them from start to finish how to buy a home and coach them through the whole thing and got them ready, right? And then now they're a client for life when they need to refinance. Why would they ever call anyone else when you're their consultant that helped them go from a renter to a home owner? So remember, we're not just talking about homeowners. We're not just talking about people who can already afford to purchase a home. We're talking about everyone, down to renters, everyone down to people who are currently, maybe they don't rent themselves, maybe they are living with their parents. But guess what? They're going to become a homeowner at some point, or a renter that can then turn into a homeowner, right? Also, keep in mind that the clients you do work with, they have friends, they have family, they're also going to have children. People like Jose, who have been in this business for a long time, he's done loans for not only a client and not only their child, but their grandchild. So he took working with somebody into 2 other referrals for not only their child, but then when their grandchild became of age to purchase a property, he helped their grandchild. How crazy is that, right? Because they're all eventually going to become homeowners. So the grandchild that he had met in his, that came into his office when that kid was, 6 years old, coming in with their parents or whatever, who would have known that was going to be his client 15 years later, right? Everyone is truly a client. If you meet a child right now, they could potentially be your client in 20 years, right? Every single person in the United States and even abroad, because we have our foreign national programs. So, if they're an investor, then even abroad, we're talking about every person you meet, right? Now, going back to what we talked about, referrals, the flywheel, great thing about that philosophy, non-customers can refer customers. So not only is everyone a client, everyone is a potential referral source, right? So even the people who stay renters their whole life, they may be able to refer you clients who do purchase a home or refinance a home. So, trying to get in the mode here of every single person you speak to throughout your entire life is potentially either a client or someone who can refer you a client. So if we're going to be successful in this business, we need to be on all the time, right? We're always on. We're always letting people know what we do, right? We have to make sure we let them know. If we don't let them know, then we can't be upset when they didn't use us. A lot of people do that with their friends and family and sphere. They're upset when they see their friend post on Facebook that they just bought a new home and they didn't use you as the loan officer. Well, guess what? If you didn't specifically let them know, keep them updated, remind them, post on your social media about what you do, showing yourself at events and doing closings and closing people's loans and posting congratulations to them. If you're not doing your part, you can't blame them for working with someone else because you didn't do your job of making sure that your friends, family, sphere, clients, relatives, every single person that you talk to on a daily basis is very clear on exactly what you do. If you don't do your job as that, you can't blame anyone but yourself for people you know already going and working with other people. If somebody in your sphere goes and works with another loan officer, that's a wake-up call for you that you need to be doing something different. It should hurt, right? Because it hurts. When you see that, it hurts. I know. But that should hurt. It should sting. And it should be the motivation for you to make sure, hey, I need to be doing my job better. Because if they didn't go with me, that means I wasn't doing my job. So kind of a tangent there, but remember, anyone can become a client, is a client. Everyone is a potential client that you meet throughout your entire life. Now, also, anyone can become an investor. We talked about this yesterday on the creating deals sales training, where we can create deals out of thin air. Well, we can also create investors out of thin air, right? People who would have never been a real estate investor. With our amazing investor programs, particularly the DSCR, you can take a person who had no idea that they could become a real estate investor with their $30,000 that they saved up. They didn't think that they had the income or the employment or the paperwork or the credit or enough down payment, right? They didn't know these things. Well, when you tell them, hey, no income verification, no job verification, we even have some options that are, decently low credit scores that will work. All you need is a down payment and closing costs. There's tons of properties out there that are pretty cheap that you could get for a little rental investment property. You can literally turn people who just thought they had a little money in their savings that would love to get into real estate or investing. Remember, real estate is the #1 wealth builder in this country. There's plenty of people who would love to be in this business, but just don't have the knowledge or the tools or the person to help them do that. So not only is everybody a client as far as they need to live somewhere, but there's a lot of people that have $30,000 or more in a savings somewhere that can afford to get a $150,000 home with a DSCR loan, right? And that would love to break into the #1 builder of wealth in the country. So anyone is a client, and anyone can also become an investor client. Now, how do we apply this to being a loan officer on our daily basis here? Obviously, our sphere. Everyone we know, everyone in our phone, everyone on our social media, every person is potentially a client. Again, we need to make sure we let them know. We've talked about this on previous sales trainings, and I will challenge you all to do it again. Maybe some of you weren't on those trainings, or maybe some of you did not do it when we stopped the training. But I challenge everyone to make sure, even if it's just a text message, obviously not a group text message, but a text message to every single person in your phone, or a phone call is even better, just making sure they know this is what you do. Then you can't blame yourself when they work with somebody else. Then you say, okay, well, I called them, talked to them about it. I texted them. I've been posting stuff on my social media and I have them as a friend. Well, in that case, you did your job and there's just nothing that you could do about it. But if you weren't doing your job properly, you can't blame anyone else. So if you haven't gone through your phone and called and or sent a text to every single person in your phone that you know that you have ever met, then you're not doing your job properly. You don't have to be really salesy with this stuff. Just make sure that they know. You can even just tell them, hey, I just want to make sure you know, so that you can't say I didn't tell you so, right? I want to make sure that you know what I'm doing, and I want to make sure that you have the ability to work with me. I know you would support me in my business because I would do the same for you, right? We're talking about, this fear is a huge thing. A lot of you think that I don't really know anybody. I'm working. I'm only going to be doing leads. You absolutely do know people. You know, every single person that you've ever spoken to is a potential client. So your sphere, meaning every single person in your phone, every single person on Facebook, every single person on Instagram, every single person you've ever interacted with in your entire life is a potential client. And you need to make sure that they know that this is what you do. They know the type of options that you have. They know the opportunities that you can provide, not only for their primary residences and secondary homes, but for real estate investing that they may not have knew even existed. Also, people and places that you support. I talk about this a lot. Reciprocity here. If you're supporting a business or a person, ask for that support in return. You're frequenting the dry cleaners or somebody's restaurant. And of course, this works better with smaller businesses where you're actually talking to like an owner or a manager or something like that. But you're giving them your business. Ask for business in return, even if it just comes down to letting me put my business cards here, or a banner, or whatever it may be. But also, I know, I love your restaurant. I frequent it here all the time. I would really appreciate it if you could let people know, you or any other people, what I do. And I know that you would do that because I support you. So I know that you would support me in return, right? Creating that reciprocity. So you're already out there doing your part of this transaction, this reciprocity that I'm talking about. You're already out there doing your part in a bunch of different places. You just have to create the reciprocity and make sure that they know. You're already frequenting businesses. You're already supporting people and their businesses, their hobbies, their whatever, right? You're already out there giving your part of the transaction. The key is that you make sure to tune in to do enough to speak up and create that reciprocity to get back what you're already giving. You're already spending money with these people or helping these people or spending money with these businesses. All you have to do is speak up and create that reciprocity. Now, also think about this. Every Uber driver you've ever had, they should know what you do. They should have your business card. They should know not only would you be able to help them, but anybody that they know. At the mortgage calculator, Uber drivers, bartenders, servers, at restaurants, every person you ever talk to should know what you do, have your business card. And guess what? At the mortgage calculator, we specialize in loans for Uber drivers and bartenders and servers, people who have a regular income or have 1099s or have a lot of tips that they don't necessarily claim in certain ways. There's all kinds of programs. That's what we specialize in at the mortgage calculators: alternative income, investment products, non-QM products. These people, even if another loan officer had spoken to them, chances are 95% chance that that loan officer does not have the programs that you have to offer these people who would need these unique programs. Do you think an Uber driver really knows that they could qualify for a home based on just their bank statements? What if this is somebody who drives Uber and does Instacart and does all these different things, and they're saying there's no way that I could ever get a loan? I'd have to have a W-2. It'd have to all be from one company. Well, guess what? They can get a great loan for a home by being an Uber driver and working all these different platforms, or being a bartender or a server. And these are just a few examples. But that's the best part about us at the Mortgage Calculator is not only are you letting them know what you do and making sure they're aware that you can help them, but letting them know, hey, I know in your situation, it's usually hard to get a loan. You might have even been denied getting a loan, but I have programs that specialize for people like you. So let me know if you would like to buy a home, because you're already essentially able to qualify for some of these programs with the income type that you have. I know you thought you wouldn't qualify for a loan. Well, that's a conventional loan. We have all kinds of non-QM loans, right? And then, of course, lastly, we come to the obvious, which is all your leads, all the people you're calling, all the events you go to. Remember, every one of them is a client too. Not only are they a client, they have the ability to give you referrals. So we have to look at every single person as two different things. We have to look at them as a potential client, even if they're a renter, and we have to look at them as a potential referral source. So that should really open it up for a lot of you, especially the newer loan officers, that every single person you interact with every single day is a potential client, is a potential referral source, and you should be ready, willing, and able to let them know what you do. Maybe you need to work on your, elevator pitch, because a lot of the times when you're in your daily life, you might not have much time to sit there and talk to people, but you need your business card, your elevator pitch. You need to make sure that you talk to your sphere in the way that you want to make sure that they know that you do whatever you do. So the theme here today, we're always going to be on 100% of the time. Now that we're in the mortgage business, for those of you who are newer, this is a 24/7 job. This is a lifestyle job. This is something where you're either all the way in or you're not really in at all, right? So we need to make sure that we're on 100% of the time, make sure that everyone we've ever met knows exactly what we do and what we specialize in and the type of products that we have that could help them, because a lot of people just don't know they can do it. Of course, everyone wants to own a home. Everyone wants to become a real estate investor in some way. A lot of them don't know they can. We're bringing them that opportunity. We are doing good. That's another thing that a lot of loan officers that are scared to talk to people. They're too shy to contact their whole sphere. They're too shy to talk to people in real life. You're bringing good to them. You're bringing amazing opportunities to them for them to own their own home and or become a real estate investor. You are good. They need you. So don't feel shy to talk to them. Don't feel like you're being a salesperson. Don't be afraid to, quote unquote, make a sales call or a sales text to people you know or people you don't know. At the end of the day, you are doing positive. You're not taking away. You're not being salesy. You're not spam calling people. You are bringing them the amazing opportunity of home ownership and or real estate investment, which again is the number one wealth builder in this country. Always has been and always will be. And you are lucky enough to be able to provide people with that opportunity and get paid very well for doing so. So today's challenge to everybody, I'd love to leave everybody with a challenge. If you haven't done so yet, contact your entire sphere and let them know this is what you do. Text messages, phone calls the best. Phone calls, text messages, Facebook messages, Instagram messages. Again, you're not spamming kind of random people. This is you talking to the people you already know, touching base with them and making sure they know exactly what you do. So that's the takeaway here for today. Everyone is a client. We're on 100% of the time. And to start that mentality off, we need to contact our entire sphere, every friend, family, contact, person we've worked with, business that we've supported, that we've spent money with. We need to contact everybody right away Let them know that this is what we do, this is what we specialize in, and this is the opportunities that we can offer them if and when they're ready. And we want to make sure that they know that. So let's see here. Do see a source here. What is the source to order business cards in bulk? There's tons of different places out there. At the Mortgage Calculator, we give you your designs that are compliant. So if you go to my profile in our CRM, there's a promotions tab. That tab gives you all of your different business cards and flyers, and they're all compliant and stuff like that. So you can use them right away. But you can get them printed anywhere. I mean, if you just Google business cards, printing, I mean, there's tons of places, and you can get them all the way from extremely cheap just to get a few of them, to for $20 or something, to all the way to spending $150 to get like 5,000 of them or whatever. So there's plenty of places. You can just Google it. But at the Mortgage Calculator, we do give you your formatted, compliant business card templates. You don't have to do anything. You can just download them and get them printed somewhere. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I appreciate it. We will be right back here tomorrow, 12 p.m. Eastern time, for the next episode of the Loan Officer Sales Training with the Mortgage Calculator. Have a great day, everyone.